I had a script and I just hadn't read it. That doesn't sound like
all
me
blurred. There was a finished script.
Right.
There was a finished script. Usually we finish a script, spend a week polishing it, or at least feeling comfortable with it, whatever shape it's in, and try and make it. It scared the hell out of me because this was the one that we had to shoot a scene from part 2 while we were shooting part 1.
It was only because of the bus. So while we were shooting the previous episode, we handed him a few pages, and yes, and the script was done, but he had not read it.
He had not read
because he wasn't issued it.
Yes.
Right.
Back
Because
and forth,
I get it just after catering have got it. That's the blue pages, I think. And the bus, the bus across the River Styx was existed then, and wasn't going to exist. We only had that stage, I think, or we only had the bus. I can't remember which it was. So we had to shoot that, I think, about a week before we actually started the episode, something like that. Yes, so it's a cracking story.
Don't you love how journalists like to ask about what went wrong instead of what went right?
No, the challenge really is that a lot of the time, you're shooting so many episodes. If we're allotted 8 days in the schedule, if you finish on a Wednesday, on Thursday you begin the next episode. And because our space is limited, we actually had the bus for the previous episode. So it was really challenging, the last 2 episodes sort of, rising to the production challenge of both the previous episode and this episode. I mean, a bus crash to shoot that.
So Katie also got thrown into that without preparation. She was in her 3rd day of pre-production for her episode and had to shoot it. So if you notice, one of the scenes in that episode really sucked because of that. So.
I didn't notice that. Next time you should issue it with subtitles, like they do on Lost. It's like, this is the one that sucks. Okay, well, let's talk about the show in general, which is now 4 seasons in and has been through, various shifts and changes. Let's talk, how's it going for you, Hugh, 4 seasons in? What we were talking about earlier is what's wonderful about House is that it's a really clever procedural and also a very rich character drama, and it has at its heart this very kind of mysterious, compelling guy, which part of his charm is that he is mysterious. And how do you sort of maintain that year after year, that air of who is this guy?
I never tire of it, to be honest. I get tired. But that's a different thing. I never actually tire of the character. I like him. I would almost say I love him, actually, but that's a little bit weird, isn't it?
I don't know. I think many of us love House.
You sort of, it's part of an actor's job, I think, is to like the character that he or she is playing, because you don't really get anywhere unless you do that. But I don't tire of. I don't tire of doing it. I don't tire of him. I find him endlessly fascinating. I find the stories endlessly fascinating. I mean, there are certain moments where all of us have been in a situation where thinking, well, wait a second, what's the patient ill with this time? Didn't we do this already? You get into a little bit of a blur, but that's to be expected, doing just the phenomenal volume. I think we're shooting now, or have just finished the 90th show that it's just amazing. In England, it would take about 300 years to do that. It's just inconceivable, the volume of it. But as I say, I don't tire of it.
What was your favorite case? Can you remember what your favorite episode?
Really.
The one you're doing right now.
Yes, always tomorrow.
But you won't tell us what that is.
It's part of the penalty, I think, for having to develop a pretty capacious short-term memory is that I have sacrificed any sort of long-term memory. I can't remember anything that happened more than 20 minutes ago. Nothing. And certainly not any cases or episodes that we shot.
What about you guys, Omar and Robert? How is it, when you're sustaining these characters that because of the demands of the procedural, there has to be consistency in how you interplay, but you're also continuing to build them. How is that? What are the biggest challenges for you?
I think it's good to be challenged. I think that's what keeps you sort of, interested. I mean, the writing to me, as I've said 1,000,001 times, is just incredible, and I think that's half the battle for us. And I mean, as an artist, I mean, you want to be challenged, because that's how you, I think, bring yourself to the best of your ability in those moments. And so it's like constantly changing. It's like riding a magic carpet,
Robert, rebuttal. That's perfectly said. Absolutely right.
You know what? That's not fair. You have to give your own answer.
It's intriguing to be in a world that continues, because I'm as you said, I've done a lot of plays and a few. One very good movie and a lot of not so good movies, and so it's very interesting to be in a world where your character stays alive and continues, and it's very strange to sort of say, and now Amanda comes home and Laura's limp is even more, and Tom's writing it, and that's sort of you think when the curtain's down, and to be in a world where next week your character suddenly, there's a scene in this show you just saw that we had to lose with Jennifer Morrison, who plays Dr. Cameron, and we had a little scene in the cafeteria, and it was sad. It was hard to lose it because everyone loved it, but it was just too long, the show. But there are moments like that where you think, God, I'm in this world where I'm losing this person, Amber, and here I am sitting with Dr. Cameron, who I met in Vancouver, 5 years ago, Jennifer Morrison, and it's strange that it goes on, and you sort of the storylines continue and change, and your character keeps changing and growing, and it's unlike any other medium, I think. I know.
I imagine it would also be strange because when you're doing a play or a movie, it's like you know exactly who the character is. You can tell your own backstory. You can create. But with the television, things are revealed. It's like, oh, I have this in my past now, and I have this. I did that.
And we really do. Hugh's not kidding. We really do find out like the night or two before we shoot it. So it is that. I'm done talking.
Okay, I do want to ask you, are you guys all hypochondriacs now? I've heard that that's like sort of a necessary spin-off of working on a medical show. Do you like...
I wash my hand 5 times a day.
Well, I know whenever anything happens to me or my kids, it's like, even if it's the smallest thing, my mind immediately goes to what would happen on House. This will end up being Legionnaire's disease. It's like it's a headache and, we're all going to die. So I just wonder how you guys like sort of combat that. You don't think about it.
I don't know why I don't. Maybe it's because, as Katie just whispered in my ear, to us, in some ways, obviously it's a medical show, but it's so, and the medicine is so important and so integral. That procedural stuff is so important, but to us, that's all about what does that allow us to have these guys do, and the decisions they make, and the attitudes they express. It's in some ways, it's not a medical show in our mind, and that's just this abstract research, which is really important. But the meat of it, to me, is are the human beings that we stay with there every week, and who they are, and revealing who they are.
I would add, though, if I may interject.
I'd rather you didn't.
No, you're not allowed to do that either. We got to keep this thing moving.
Okay. It's one of the unnerving premises of the whole show, it seems to me, that things are not knowable. They're not immediately knowable. We go to, when we get sick, we go and see doctors, and we sort of assume that things will become quickly apparent, that a doctor will nod and go, that's so-and-so, and you need to take 3 of these a day, and that the problem is solved. The truth is that medicine just isn't like that, and like it or not, doctors are at sea a lot of the time, guessing, informed guesses. These are very bright people with a lot of experience, but nonetheless they are forced to guess. There's a lot of trial and error, and however unlikely it seems that 6 clever people could head down the wrong path that many times in 44 minutes. There are nonetheless an unbelievable number of cases where these things go on for 10 years or more, where patients go back and back and back and see hundreds of doctors, not 6, but hundreds, and never get. It can take 10 years to get to the bottom of something. So that premise is sort of medically